This is the XNC Podcast, your Xbox newscast featuring Colteastwood, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, XNC Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the XNC Podcast live. And it is live. Welcome to the show. This is the XNC Podcast. I'm Colteastwood, and welcome to the show that I've been doing for almost a year. I'm super happy to be here. Glad for the chat and everybody showing up in the chat, and moderators like Udani Kizada who are here to keep things clean, clear, simple, and spam-free from that craziness. But today I've got a new face for this show and a returning favorite. So I kind of have two favorites here. Absolutely. I want to welcome to the show Samurai KBG. Before I just say his name, I got to say his claim to fame. Now, he's got two pieces of claim to fame. They're fairly recent. Guy's been making moves for a while, but he did a video a few months ago or a couple months ago about the Activision Blizzard Avengers meme. He got a 5-minute video. This guy has over 1 million views on this sucker. And then to add to that, Xbox put his reaction to the Series X in their documentary. Chat, audience, welcome to the show, Samurai KBG.
What a great intro. First off, happy you said the name correctly. Good job. But yeah, I never expected that video to get past 1 million and to be in that. Everybody kept tweeting me at that trailer like, dude, I saw you in the documentary trailer. So yeah, it's super awesome to be on the show. Super happy to see the chat. I see Jose and he says exclusive. I thought that's funny. So hello, Jose, and everybody else in the chat. Thank you so much for having me.
We got to know what's it like to be famous. Tell us all about it.
You know, my agent is getting really tired because all we were getting paid before is with just like nails from crappy rusty crap, but now we actually get clean nails, so it's all good.
Oh, I thought you meant like stick-on nails, which would be fantastic.
I don't know where this bit was going, but it's nails.
So another great guest, the host of Games Talk Live, which I think is the cleanest, clearest, most fantastical, entertaining podcast. I was just on his show, and Fonz. This is Fonz. He never ceases to amaze me with his production, his quips, he's got these great like mini commercials he makes. He does really great content. He's an up and coming, longtime veteran of YouTube, but he's part of the RDX podcast. A really great friend of mine. He makes excellent content. We all aspire to be like Fonz. We aspire sometimes to look like Fonz, but we always aspire to sound like Fonz. Welcome, Fonz, to the show. How are you doing, buddy?
Shut up already. Don't talk about me like that. No, I don't know. It's good to be here. You were just on my show yesterday. We had a lot to talk about. We had a fabulous time. It's always fun when we get together because, we're good friends in real life, and we always get in party chats and just talk about games and stuff. So, again, this is like just one of those chats. It's just fun. We just got another guy here with us, and we're in a party chat together.
Well, this is the coolest thing about all of you here that are watching. You made it possible for me to do XNC podcasts, and what it does is it gives me an excuse to meet people like Samurai KBG, and like now we're going to do this show, and we're going to build a rapport. We might become friends. We might, send each other a pen pal. It'll be great.
We might not. We might kick him to the wayside and say, this KBG guy. Or what?
The word might, anyways. Like.
But no, he seems like a great guy. But Colt, I do have to mention something. Thank you for such, high praise, especially coming from you who I've looked up to your production and everything that you do here on YouTube. So, man, thank you. That means a lot.
No, it means a lot to me because I like to watch content that like really impresses me. You do really great stuff.
I appreciate you, man.
But yeah, I'm really glad to have you guys on here. There's been some great news that's been going on. There's some surprising news that maybe you wouldn't expect us to talk about, which we'll kind of we'll dive into that in a little bit. Before I get started, I got to give a shout out to the channel members that are veterans, has been with the show like over 9 months. Sometimes some have been around for over 2 years. We got Ricky Falon, Zenner White, Poochie, Wolf Assassin, DeBlue, Devario 2, Gaming, Fault Lines, Wreak Havoc, Fox Storytelling, Ronnie Coots, Gaz, Dark CMF, Betamax, Dante Moody, Alex Wilson, Lord Starkiller, Robert Jackson, Gamer McFly, Assassin Lupin, Nano Polymath, Suicide King, Yodana Quezada, Phil, KY Bob, William Lanza, and Matt Burns. And I know I read those names really quickly, but I've seen these names. I've talked to these people for months and months and months. So when that name is read, it means a lot to me. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you do want to join the channel, you get custom emojis, you get early access. And then when you write something in the chat, people take notice because you're famous, like Samurai Kibi G and Fonz, two famous dudes, right? But welcome to the show. So glad to have you. We got over 200 people here watching. Shout out to Boss Ma Lito Papa, who's also here, always putting the hammer down on the chat, taking care of things. And I've got a good friend of mine keeping track of super chats tonight. So a guest behind the scenes and behind the curtains. So yeah, thank you, everybody. Let's get into a little topic. I know that Fonz liked this game well enough for a little bit, but Assassin's Creed Origins is coming to Game Pass. This can kind of tie into some Ubisoft talk a little bit, but I really love this game. I know Fonz had a turning point. Yes. Fonz, what do you think about Origins coming to Game Pass?
What do I think about it? You know what? Enjoy the first 50 plus hours or so. I played like 70 hours of that game, and I was loving it to the very end. And I'm not going to spoil it for the people who haven't played it. But if you haven't, play it, enjoy it. At least you're getting it in Game Pass, and you're not spending $60. So,
yeah.
Enjoy.
How about you, Samurai? Have you played Assassin's Creed Origins?
This is going to be a crazy statement. Can't wait to see the chat blow up. I've never played a single Assassin's Creed game.
What?
I know.
Odyssey?
I've never played a single one.
Oh
Not
my
because
gosh.
I avoided it. I just never got to it.
Have you mentioned this before? Or is this the first time you're mentioning
Never
it?
Publicly. Never
exclusive.
Publicly, no.
It's an exclusive right here.
This is an exclusive. Samurai Kibiji has never played a single Assassin's Creed.
Well, I'll break it down for you. There are two camps.
I do want to say that really quick. I've
What's
heard
that?
great things about Origins and Odyssey. I've heard great things about those
amazing.
two. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's kind of like two Assassin's Creeds. There's like the old last gen version, and then they kind of soft rebooted it. And it's so weird because I think Fonz and I both kind of had sort of given up on the love of Assassin's Creed at a certain point. And then Origins was great. I loved it all the way to the end. Fonz didn't. Towards the end, he's kind of got annoyed with stuff, which is fine. But we both love Odyssey to death. It is an open world Rise Son of Rome that you could never have. It's so amazing. And I know I see in the chat they love Odyssey and Origins. Samurai, you got to play Odyssey because it's almost like a open world Zelda type. I don't know. It's like it's kind of got a little bit of everything. It's got this combat that's really great. Like it's not preset. It's not like Batman where you just counter. I don't know. It's just great.
It's awesome.
It is a thing to come with Ubisoft kind of stepping into the fray with Game Pass. Kibiji, what do you think Ubisoft is thinking right now with Game Pass as they kind of maybe dip their toes in?
Well, here's the thing. They've already they've dipped their toe very heavily in by launching one of their big games this year through it, right? Which was the Rainbow Six Extraction game. They launched that day and date on Game Pass, and that was a first for Ubisoft. So them putting on a game that's like what, 3 years old, 4,
3 or 4,
something like that.
I can't do the math. 2017. Yeah.
It's not like after the Extraction thing. I'm almost like, I mean, that about time kind of a thing. Like, but I think they saw some good traction for maybe Extraction, and they're starting to see what other publishers maybe are seeing. It's like, oh wow, we can do
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. So
Yeah, that
Yeah.
could be a good thing. I forgot about the Extraction. I even played it once or twice in Game Pass. That game's not for
that's
me.
how I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not for me. But Fonz, did you play Extraction?
No, I'm not big on those games, but I know a lot of people are. I have friends that play those games, and it's not for me. But I'm glad that Ubisoft's putting more into Game Pass. That means that we'll continue to see that. I mean, what are we hearing from these developers over and over? Is like, or at least seeing, is the fact that they like Game Pass. They like putting their games in Game Pass. It's good to see.
All but one.
Because, for somebody like myself who can see the value in Game Pass, and a lot of casuals are starting to see that as well. And that is what's motivating, I think, these developers are seeing those numbers rise with engagement and all that. And that's only a good thing for us who enjoy Game Pass, man. And we're just going to get more great games. That's what's cool about this.
Yeah, they need to. One of the problems is this spring has not been very big for Game Pass releases. There've been a couple great games like we love Guardians of the Galaxy, which went there.
That was great.
They need more of those deals. I got to welcome to the channel a new channel member, Kid Mac. Welcome to the channel. You get early access to videos and the Joanna Dark picture that I drew up for your little channel.
Are you saying they get exclusives for joining?
Exclusive.
Nice. Like that.
Oh, I love it. Hey, is it true, Fonz? Did you put Tim Dog as a voice button on your little magic board there yet?
Oh, Tim? Oh yeah.
Yep. Looks like August MPDs are on lock.
Oh, it's so great. So, real quick before we move forward, Tim has a famous video where people called him out, but his voice is so great. We love Tim Dog so much. He's got so much fire. See, I got a super chat here from Daxile Game Studios. Ooh, I wonder what Daxile Game Studios is doing. I'm gonna have to look them up. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. They said, when is the Xbox show going to be? Where's the date? I cannot wait. We're going to get into the Xbox show here in a little bit, but we got to talk first about the most important feature on these new consoles. It kind of is the most important feature. Samurai KBG, I don't know if you know much about VRR, if you know any of the technical. You don't like talk tech specs, but do you know what VRR does? Because it's finally coming to the PS5 a year and a half after launch.
I have been hearing that for a while though. I know what VRR is. So Colt's referring to I just don't have as much to say on tech as maybe other folks. I know the gist somewhat, but yeah, VRR is a great feature, and if it's finally about time to PS5, great. But I've heard that ever since launch day. It's coming. Don't worry, the dragons are coming. But
the dragons are coming. That's like from The Hobbit. The dragons are coming.
I just think of the guy that writes Game of Thrones. I forget the South Park thing. Don't worry, they're coming. But what's like the deal with the VRR?
Yeah.
Like, what's the source saying that now it's about to come to PS5 finally?
George VRR Martin. Is that what it is, Fonz?
George VRR Martin.
Martin.
You're right.
That's
You're right. VRR.
So I don't know. This news broke about an hour before the show, so I don't think even Fonz has had a chance to check into it. Fonz, is this news to you as I say it? They said this week.
No, it's not news, because I tweeted about this hours ago.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, I tweeted as soon as I saw the news hit. I tweeted about it because this is something that I've been waiting for and been pushing for ever since I got the PS5. Because Xbox has always had it, and it's glorious. The fact that if you could take advantage of this on your television, people, do so. It works wonders for these games. Variable refresh rate on the Series X is just amazing. It takes these games that drop just a few frames, smooths it out, make it seem like a crisp, smooth 60 frames. I love it, man. And it's coming to PS5. What's not to love here? It's exciting. Yeah. But you're right. Kibi was saying that we've been waiting for this for months. We have. Back in, I think, October of last year, news was ramping up, and we kept hearing people write these reports and say, it's coming, since October. Yeah. And so I'm like, dude, what is it now? April, end of April? And it's finally coming. Okay. It's great, but it's about damn time.
So there's a major asterisk in the PS5 VRR fonts. But I want you to, before I say that, I want you to tell the audience, you and I were playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla at launch. Now, this is our first time playing a Assassin's Creed open world game, or actually it's really our first time playing a big open world game on the new consoles at 60 frames, because that was really unorthodox on the Xbox One X or PS4 Pro, right? So what was the main problem you and I had before VRR? Do you remember what what plagued Valhalla?
Oh, 30 frames?
No. The screen tearing.
Oh, the screen tearing. Yeah.
You and I used to complain about the screen tearing. So anytime you'd move the camera, there would be horizontal tears where the screen would not keep up, you know?
Yes.
Like the top half of the tree would be over here and it would rip and it would try and catch up, because what VRR does for anybody who cares, basically, it will try and match the refresh rate. When you're playing a video game, it's giving you a picture, 30 times a second or 60 times per second. So what the TV tries to do is, if the game is dropping, it will try to come down with that smoothly. And that also eliminates screen tear. But the PS5 has never had that. So here's the asterisk, guys. They have 14 games that are supporting natively VRR.
So they sold it as VRR, but they don't. It's not capable of doing it.
So it has a system-wide unsupported VRR feature you can toggle on, where it will try and smooth out the performance. It doesn't boost performance and hopefully smooth out screen tearing, but just at I don't know, because Xbox has a system-wide level, but they have an unsupported system-wide level. So I think this is why it's taken so long. But
you're probably right.
So
that, and the fact that, and I got to give credit to D-Batch out there, because he's been pushing this well. Also, they've been trying to get it on their TVs as well. And I think they've been trying to get that together, and they finally have got that worked out. So I think that's why they're now pushing this out as well. I think that's another reason.
They wanted the Sony TVs to make sure they were up to snuff before they gave them to LG, Samsung, Vizio, whatever, right?
Facts.
So, so this is that's an interesting thing, but really, when I was going to ask Samurai, where do you mainly play, or most of your big games on PC?
No, I'm like 80% my 75% my Xbox, 15% my Switch.
Pull up his account. Let's check. No, I'm just kidding.
I barely touch my PS5. I barely touch my PC. Sort of touch my Switch, but I'm mostly on my Xbox. And there's actually there was a good message, like Flush Jackson earlier said, like VRR is why I bought Elden Ring on my Series X. That's a good point. Like, there's a lot of people that if a game supports VRR, they're gonna, if they have both consoles, they'll buy it on Xbox because it can do that. And that's a situation that PlayStation's had to deal with for a while. So if that's finally gonna be fixed, great, cool.
Yeah, and I was gonna get at with the PC thing, because you have to have VRR or variable refresh rate or G-Sync or V-Sync on your games, because PC gamers have been doing this forever, because everything they play is at 60 FPS and up. And now for the first time with these new consoles, you're playing everything at 60. So I have a really pricey capture card on my computer down here that you can't see. And if I'm using that through my Xbox, I can't use VRR. And it really is crummy when you see games tearing or when you see major spikes. So anyway, that's super boring, but this is a good thing. So Yodana Kizada just dropped a super chat with a code. I'm going to read it just right now because it's a code. You guys are going to jump on it. He gives out Assassin's Creed Origin. Looks like on the Xbox, which is a must play. It's one of the most beautiful games of the whole generation. It's up there with Odyssey and some of the other games that I could name. But I mean, it's up there among the top 5, I would say, best looking games. He says, rest in peace to WaterEgg32 on Twitter.com. Elon Musk sending him to Mars if he doesn't come out of anonymity. And I said it right. So WaterEgg32 is my random name I always say about somebody online. But thank you, Odani, for that super chat. I've also got one from Christian. Thank you so much for the £5 super chat. He says, I've been playing Skyrim again on my Series X and it looks fantastic. The AI are terrible. What do you guys think Bethesda needs to do to improve their games the most?
Well, he's talking about how old is that game? I mean, of course the AI has been upgraded since then.
You can put a bucket on their head.
I mean, yeah.
Why don't you go
look,
first on this one?
No. I'm just saying this is a very old game right now that you're playing through. Just because it has a fresh coat of paint doesn't change the fact that it's old tech, and they're with the Creation 2.0 engine now. We got to see what they come with Starfield. I think it's going to be much improved. They talked about improving the AI already in their engine and everything. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing with that, because I think this is a real test of what Bethesda is going to do in this next generation. And I think they're going to improve on everything, from the graphics to the physics to the animations to the AI. You're going to see everything overhauled for Bethesda, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I
was going to second Fonz there. Just basically everything you just said, because is it a new engine or they upgraded?
It's upgraded,
engine, right?
2.0. Yeah.
But yeah, they're upgrading it, and Starfield's going to be like a next gen only game, which I didn't realize for the longest time, and then I saw that I was like, oh wow. So they're doing that for a reason. They're, as just Fonz said, this is their next step up to prove themselves. So I think we'll be in for a surprise.
Yeah, it's Creation Engine 2, and it's been overhauled from. They keep upgrading as they make new games. So Fallout 4 was massively upgraded from Skyrim. So when see who was that? When Christian was asking about what they can improve, Samurai, what are you expecting to see different? Because I know you've played around with Skyrim and Fallout 4. How do you think the characters are going to, how that's going to play for Starfield? So we haven't seen any gameplay. Like what major improvements do they need to make?
So admittedly, the Bethesda RPGs never really grabbed me. I've tried them all, and I think the thing that would help me, like, get me more into it is, and that's just because RPGs are hard for me. Like, I recently just played Mass Effect last year for the first time. Yeah.
You mean too much to like?
I just hate making decisions. Yeah. But in terms of like the gameplay, that was something that always kind of about the Bethesda things. It just didn't feel that smooth to me in terms of everything. And I think that's something I would really like. And maybe the frame rate boost to help with that. But like in terms of just mechanics, I want things to kind of just flow better. Like whether it's movement or switching to things or whatever, I just want a more flowy thing. That's why Bethesda, I've always loved what Machine Games and ID does, is because their gameplay just freaking flows. But those are very different types of games. So yeah, it's good that you mentioned Machine Games, because they helped Fallout 4 with the shooting mechanics. So I'm expecting them to have learned a lot for shooting in Starfield, which you've yet to see. But yeah, I'm expecting good things. Another game that everyone is talking about, there was this whole everyone was like really dead set that God of War Ragnarok was going to come out next year. And I think Fonz and I were some of the few people that were pretty adamant that it would come out. What was your games release prediction on Ragnarok, Fonz?
Hold on, Colt. I'm blocking Kibi on Twitter and for not liking Bethesda games. Man, Okay. You don't care for like the RPGs. Yeah.
It's just that's the only reason why. It's just RPGs.
I love their RPGs. So it's just the thing for me. But no. We all have our different preferences for games.
Yeah, and Randall Thor 19 doesn't even like Fallout games. So
Ragnarok, that's something I've been arguing with a lot of people in the community, was that Ragnarok was never going to be delayed this year. It was always coming this year, in my opinion. Like every time I saw anybody say something about it, I'd be like, no, it's not going to get delayed. It's coming. And so I think it's going to be here by the end of October for sure. No later, because it's got to come out before Starfield. It has to. You can't come out like right after Starfield. It's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Xbox has a pretty good lineup of games coming in this year, and we'll talk about that when we get into their event they're going to be doing pretty soon here. But
and there will be no delay for Starfield, people. Just cut that nonsense out. I saw that on Twitter today. Stop it. They've never delayed games. Bethesda didn't delay it. Fallout 4, Fallout 3, Skyrim, none of those games were delayed. They put out a date. They stuck with it, And matter of fact, they didn't even show gameplay till like those summers before they came out. So
I think it already was delayed. Honestly, I think
maybe
Jeff Grubb was onto something when he thought the game was coming out. Would have been last
but they
year.
didn't announce anything. That's what I'm saying.
So I think it got an internal delay that was invisible to us. So I think they're pretty good. We have over 500 people who are watching the show. If you're here enjoying the XNC podcast with Samurai KBG and Fonz from Games Talk Live and the Fonzarelli, Jay Fonzarelli channel, hit the like button. Please show your support for the channel. Let's get that up to 500 before we end the show. And that proves that I've got two great guests here, and we're doing a good job with the show. So thank you so much for the chat, for being here. If you have questions, I'll try and keep an eye on those. But the next thing that is kind of a little bit obscure, and it's an old tweet, but Z Huge, who is an analyst in the games industry, said in August of 2017, take your minds back to when the Project Scorpio was now called the Xbox One X. It had been shown at E3 a couple months before, so we knew the Xbox One X was coming out. Xbox only had Forza Motorsport and Super Lucky's Tale, and the upcoming Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 were like their only exclusives. Daniel Ahmad of Z Huge is his name on Twitter, said he's looked into it. Xbox no longer has a blank check to, I don't have the exact words, but to sustain their platform, and that he heard that they were not being supported and that management basically wanted them to just fizzle out and die. And if you remember well, if you were here, Fonz and I were on RDX those weeks during August of 2017, something changed a month later, and it was Phil Spencer getting promoted to head of gaming for Microsoft and Xbox. So the people on social media were hassling Z Huge and telling him how wrong he was, because we know right now, obviously we all know that they have spent $70+ billion and more than that in acquisitions over the past couple of years. KBG, you've been following this. Take your mind back. Where was Xbox sitting in 2017 as far as drowning in their own pool of nothingness?
But that's just it. Like that. It's funny you say 2017 specifically, because that was literally just before they started doing these acquisitions. Their E3 show in 2018 is when they started to actually build up their first party studios. But yeah, if it wasn't for this stuff, I always tell people, and oh boy, console war people will be like, that's BS. Like, dude, look, before they started doing these acquisitions, the situation was, even if they did start making some great games, absolutely fantastic games, they just had no way to produce enough of them. They would otherwise have to make a bunch of partnerships repeatedly or whatever. And they got these studios to help handle that. And they just keep ramping it up because they got the amount of studios right, but they still needed to keep producing more and more. And that's the thing that they're doing this for. It would have taken too long to just do it with their in-house studios and make partnerships and hope after like 10 years of working with that person, they'll join. Microsoft gave them the money to fix that. That's the situation.
I can piggyback off that. I can piggyback off that and say that. So Phil Spencer, a man in a dream. Okay.
Yeah.
A man in a dream. Because if you think about
Phil Spencer.
It was June 1st, 2017 when we had Game Pass launch. So Phil Spencer, I mean, come on. It's all about this, guys.
This is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists.
That's what it's about. This is his dream. And he wanted to be the Netflix of gaming. And don't even start with the jokes out there, people, about can't be the Netflix of gaming. Netflix is going down. No, Netflix ain't going anywhere. They're just making another tier for ads. That's all its own thing. But anyway, this is why Phil Spencer got the blank checks. He had this dream of Game Pass and doing this for the consumers. A value like Game Pass, it just speaks to everybody, and it spoke to the upper management there at Microsoft. And they said, hey, that's a great idea. Let's do it. We're all in. Here's a blank check. Go get the studios. Because you need it to fill up Game Pass. So that's what they did. I mean, it's fairly obvious.
It's really crazy that happened a month after Phil was promoted, a month after Z-Huge's tweet, and the following year at E3 2018, and I remember it so clearly. I was talking to Dealer Gaming about it. We both remember Phil's wearing that jean jacket. He was wearing like the jean jacket and the t-shirt, and he said,
and the Converse.
"We are committed." Yeah. And he said, "We are committed to building quality first-party studio games."
Mm-hmm.
And they said that they were deep in development of new Xbox consoles, which was like a key word. And so they had already planned to make 2 consoles out the gate for next generation and have all these studios and all these games. And everything changed. And everyone kind of went after Z-Huge because you were wrong, but he was absolutely right. In August, the information that was available to him was Xbox was left to just kind of drown in the quicksand of their own problem with third-party studios. And Samurai, you said it really well. Like, they could go out and get these third-party deals, right? Like, work with other studios or other publishers. But in the past few years, that had not been working for them. Quantum Break didn't really hit. Recore was not all that. Don't argue with me. I don't think Recore was very good. I didn't love it. Okay. Sorry. But
I didn't even play it. So I don't
they
know.
did have some third-party games. You remember in the Xbox One, right? Fonz, some of the third-party games they had. Rise was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
It didn't land. Crackdown was a mess, even though I loved it. You can love Recore, and I'll love Crackdown. How about that, Chad?
Oh,
I mean,
no.
we're all different, right? Don't you dare, Fonz. Don't you dare. But what a big change.
100 hundreds of hours with friends. Yep.
Oh, and they took that away from me.
They took it away from you, man. I know your intentions were
what
good.
They take
Cole.
away?
Oh,
so back in 2017, let's take you back in time to 2017 when God of War was supposed to be coming out soon. Crackdown was supposed to be coming out that year. And I said, God of War will be an amazing 8 hours, but I'll have 100 hours blowing up buildings online with my friends in Crackdown 3. And
the biggest tragedy in gaming.
It
the
didn't
biggest
age well.
tragedy.
But 2 years later, it took 2 years. It took exactly 2 years from that tweet until Crackdown finally came out. 2 whole years. I mean, that's 2 years. And CloudGen and David Johnson or David, I can't remember his name. The creator of Crackdown bailed. He took an offer and walked with that. It was horrible. But to be fair to Recore, though, there were moments I really, really liked it. And then I kind of got lost. Then I ran into a boss I couldn't even beat. And I was like, and it's 30 frames. And, maybe I'll go back to it. Maybe I got to give a shout out.
Did finally get the 100 hours though, Colt. I remember you left the game on pause. And you just walked away.
On pause.
100 hours.
I love it. No, I actually do have 100 hours in the campaign because I played it like 3 times.
You did. You played it a lot.
By myself with Underachiever, and Dealer and I played half it together. Then I played a bunch with my son. My son actually really likes it, but trash.
Oh,
Let me give a shout out.
cut you off. Yeah, give those shouts out. I cut you off.
This is the great thing about when you get somebody who runs their own show, like they know how to handle themselves.
No,
I
don't. You guys are good at giving these shout outs and stuff. I'm still learning, man.
All right, well, let me show you how to do it. All right, I got to give a shout out to Dark CMF, who's not just a channel member of 14 months. He's got the Cortana, the Halo Infinite Cortana, but he's also a good friend. We talk baseball and we talk 80s and 90s. Because he's like us, Fonz. He's an old soul. He says, "Man, Fonz couldn't even dress up or lose the hat tonight. Heathen."
I got Sanford and Son. All right,
It's
good enough. Sanford and Son. That's dressing up, man. That's swanky gear right here.
So I was on Fonz's show.
Heathen. I saw that. He called you a heathen.
I didn't go to the church or PlayStation.
Not to laugh.
All right, Colt, I didn't attend the church or PlayStation like you did yesterday before my show. So forgive me.
I went on Fonz's show yesterday in a full suit and tie, and hey, I got some compliments. I was looking good. Now I'm wearing the Doom Eternal shirt. And pre-show Samurai's like, "Bro, why are you wearing the Doom? I miss playing Doom." And I said, "Didn't go anywhere, bro." And so we were backstage before you joined. We were like, "What's it making?" So
I missed that game, dude. Battle mode's so much fun. I don't care what anybody says. I love battle mode.
I liked battle mode. I didn't play it on Eternal, but I played it a lot on the first Doom. I call it Doom 2016.
Yeah, and I didn't care for that.
Yeah.
It's
I
because
was
they
like,
made
hey.
like Eternal be like the campaign. We know you guys just want to kill some demons. There you go.
Maybe I need to check that out. But so the other thing that we got to talk about,
The elephant in the room. No,
the elephant in the room is Aaron Greenberg, head of marketing, tweeted, supported.
that's not
confirmed.
nice to call him that. That's
Tweeted,
not nice, Colt.
What?
No, just
I'm
go.
missing the
Just go
joke
with
here
it.
too.
Yeah. The elephant in the room, and then you mentioned Aaron Greenberg. I'm like, that's not funny, Colt.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
You guys are goofy. You guys are goofy. So,
Okay.
Fonz, I don't remember what I was going to say. No, but he did. He
tweeted. You were talking about him tweeting.
He confirmed.
His tweet.
He revealed that Xbox Series S and X have sold more than the Xbox 360. And boy, did that really drive people crazy on social media.
I got mad.
While they were going crazy, I saw the numbers and I sat here and made a video about how VG Charts is changing their method to be more accurate. Okay. So yeah, you'll have to check that out. But the head of VG Charts who started, Time Machine again, he started running the channel or running the site from whoever used to have it in 2017, time that the Xbox One X was going to come out. And they started to try and make the hardware sales estimates more accurate. So he has been adjusting to try to get something a little more accurate, but it was toxic. It was so toxic for Aaron Greenberg to support VG Charts when 12 years ago, KBG, 12 years ago, Aaron Greenberg tweeted, laugh out loud. No one uses VG Charts. They aren't accurate at all. Did you see this tragedy?
How could he do such a thing when it was a decade ago? How?
A whole decade.
He doesn't deserve to have his job. It's terrible. Can you imagine if he did that 20 years ago? It'd be twice as bad.
Oh my
Jeez.
gosh. Yeah. So you saw this all unfold. You saw some of the bad takes. They were calling him out. They were quote tweeting him.
Whatever. Whatever. I hate those but you said this years ago. No, I don't care. I don't care if they said this years ago.
Maybe within 10, 12 years, VG Charts got more accurate. Who knows? Like, do we have the data? Do we have the data for this?
We learned that afternoon after Aaron Greenberg tweeted that William D'Angelo, who runs VG Charts now, said, I took over in 2017 and I've tried to make the software and the hardware estimates more accurate. He said, if only the numbers were reported like they do in the movie and the other entertainment businesses. So he's frustrated that they have to use some type of interpolation, which he said they used to interpolate the numbers, and now they wait for fiscal reports, retail reports, and then they kind of have to fill in the blanks from there. But what this means, now we could get boring about the numbers. What this means is that there is a rumor, Fonz, you watched Xbox flounder and kick butt through many, many years. But there is a rumor, Fonz, and you're hearing it right here first, that Xbox might be slightly ahead worldwide, ahead of the PS5.
Whoa. That's pretty big. You know, especially, I know a lot of people will say, well, it's due to the lack of PS5s out there in the wild. Mm-hmm. And, you know, whatever it may be, I mean, both companies are hurting for parts and stuff for these consoles. If Microsoft is getting a bit more of these parts and able to make more consoles, so be it or whatever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it still shows that people are wanting to buy an Xbox. That's the key here. It doesn't matter if there's not enough PS5s and that's why people are buying. No, people don't just settle and say, I can't get a PS5 that's $500. I'll just settle for this other $500 box. No, the casuals don't do that. People are interested in Xbox, and a lot of people don't like to hear that, but that's just the truth. I mean, with the value of Game Pass now, it's getting people more, you know, it makes people want to buy an Xbox. Plain and simple. I have friends that are casual and they are noticing Game Pass. They're subscribing to Game Pass now. It's something. My boss, he was a PlayStation fan last year, and he bought or 2 years ago, he bought an Xbox. He decided he didn't want a PS5. He likes Game Pass, and I was blown away by that. But it's just it's value, and people are they're interested in value. So Xbox, they're doing good stuff, man, and for the consumers. And right now, that's all that really matters. People say, what do I want to spend my hard-earned money on? I've got $500 in my wallet. Do I want a PS5 or do I want an Xbox? They obviously want the Xbox. It's being sold. It's great. Can you go into your store right now and find a Series X? No, you can't.
No.
Just as you can't
Somebody
find a
will.
PS5. Oh yeah, they'll go to I saw people even posting stuff even about the PS5. Well, in Kuwait they have some, and I'm like, come on, Kuwait? You have to go that far? Like
Some Fred Meyer on some remote island next to Fiji or something.
Or somebody will be like, well, in Podunk, Alabama, I've got a full stock of PS5s. There's a whole 3 of them, in my Walmarts. And I'm just like, okay.
But there's crazy honey badgers blocking the front entrance, so no one can get in there.
But they're bundled with an air fryer, so you can't just buy the PS5. You got to spend $800.
Shout out to the bundled air fryer and PS5 deal at the Alabama
Walmart's, Podunk,
Walgreens.
Alabama.
The Honey Badger Walgreens. Samurai, what are you hearing amongst like your gaming friends and peers and your audience about the availability of the PS5 and the Series X console as we look at these sales figures here?
I mean, I admit, and thank you, Carolina, for subbing to the channel. Appreciate that. I admit I am of the mindset of just availability. That's really it. Because these things are just, the bots take it. Whether we're buying them or not, the bots freaking take them. And you go to the stores, you'll see Series S's available, which is it's just always a trip for me whenever I go into a Walmart or a Best Buy and see one of those. But you never see the Series X, which is really interesting. So in terms of the Series X, I just think it really is availability, and people, for whatever reason, just aren't going to the Series S as much as I thought. But yeah, if the numbers really are okay, well, there was a statement. I don't remember who said it. It was probably Phil or something, but they were saying this is like the most successful Xbox we have ever done or had, and
it's crazy.
Yeah. And so somebody else was asking me in the chat, do you think that they should reveal the numbers or whatever? Did they kind of already do that by saying this is the best console they've had, Like it could have been PR talk, but if they meant it, then yeah, that outpaced the 360, and that was their last most highest selling console. And that's, I think, bonkers if it did. I think that's crazy.
I think they kind of do want to brag the sales because they're doing really well. And I think you nail it so perfectly when you said, Phil said we've outpaced the 360, because he said the same thing back in 2018, where he said that the Xbox One, because it was well known among the media and the games community that the Xbox One was a failure. But Microsoft and Xbox looked at the Xbox One and thought, well, we've outpaced the Xbox 360, which was massively popular in the 3-year. Well, I mean, it would have put the Xbox at like 60 million when VG Charts was saying that they'd only sold 50 million like far into the generation. So it is kind of weird. Like Phil's like, he said just not long ago, we are not going to report the numbers of Xbox Series S and X consoles, even if we are outpacing the competition. So they've made their stand, but then there's been many times, like you pointed out, KBG, that they've said, we've done really good compared to the Xbox 360. And I think the answer is, as popular as the 360 was, that gaming has gotten exponentially bigger in the mainstream. Yes. And you and I and Fonz have all watched it happen when I'll tell you guys, I got to read some super chats. They've got some great questions coming in. I'll tell you guys, just a few years ago, 2014, when Wolfenstein New Order was out, I was starting my YouTube channel, trying to get it rolling. And I had friends, people at work, colleagues, just different friends that thought gaming was for nerds. And I was ashamed to say that it was my favorite hobby. That has changed over the past couple years after that.
So hard, yeah.
But it's so true. I was so ashamed to say that my favorite thing was not to read books, not to go watch some movies, not to go water ski. That at this point in my life, gaming was my absolute favorite thing. Now I own it big time. Then who cares about what I have to say? I got to read some of these things that you guys are saying, but that does mean a lot to me to say that gaming has gotten so big. That's why it's outpaced the 360 even. Let's see. We got Supernova. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. It says Recore #1. You know what, Supernova? I'm going to go back. I'm going to reinstall that because I think it's FPS boosted. I'm going to go back to that boss and try to beat that game. I hear it's increasingly hard, but shout out to Boba Fett Gaming who joined the channel membership with the Australian 5. I talk to this guy on Xbox Live whenever I can. He's super nice. He says, use anonymity in a sentence. Okay. Samurai KBG wants to use his anonymity to be on XNC podcast because we're all frauds. There we go. See, I did it. So the other day I did a promo, KBG, where saying your name is almost as hard as saying anonymity. Yeah. But I had to say the word anonymity.
Just say Keebs. I've heard that
I'll
too.
say Keebs. I got permission. So I had to say that a VPN keeps your anonymity online. But I had this camera right here. I'm recording the promo and I messed up the word like 80 times. I put it up on Twitter and people had to laugh at my expense. So I'm good for it. Supernova,
you were drunk that day. You were drunk that day.
You guys know that this is my only drink. Just drunk on Mountain Dew. So Supernova,
is that a Mountain Dew Zero? Sir?
It is my G.
Good
and
one.
not sponsored.
Good one. I like that.
Trying to keep the dad bod down.
That's what I'm talking about.
Shout out to Supernova. Thank you so much for the $10 super. It says, joking aside, Record needed some time and a budget. Could have been a beautiful world and enjoyable platform, but it was clear the budget was low due to low content. And I got to give a shout out to Record's combat system. I really like that combat system. I like the switchable ammo types and pulling on the what do you call them? Keeps the little balls. I don't want to say balls.
Remember.
You got to pull anyway. You got to pull the cores out. The cores. Gosh,
okay. You
guys got me all flustered. The chat's got me going crazy.
This guy loves
I like
it
that
right
system.
now.
You have to pull it like you're bringing in a fish. I think that's great. So I will give it another shot. Lord Starkiller, thank you so much for the $10 super. He says supply issues affect Sony and Microsoft and many other companies. Great to see Xbox so competitive this gen. So now, Fonz. Xbox has each week has been selling over the PlayStation 5 by a factor of 2 to 1. Do you remember who Take Him is from Bloomberg and what he said?
No, I don't remember.
He is a journalist for Bloomberg who said that PlayStation is going to whoop the Xbox this generation.
Oh, I remember that quote. I remember that quote. And yeah, okay. So I've always said this. I've always said this for years now on podcasts. Anytime.
Hey, time.
Okay.
Shout out to Sean Labrie in the chat. I saw Sean Labrie here several chats ago. He's amazing. He's also moderating the chat, so we have to say hi. I hope you can go back to what you're saying, Fonz.
Oh yeah. And I forgot. No, I'm just kidding. But I've been saying for years that with every new generation is a fresh start. And these companies can change things and turn things around. I mean, look at what happened with the 360 and the PS3. And I know at the end, the PS3 overtook the 360 just barely, but it did. And that's because they started working on their games, doing better things, doing better for the consumer. With the PS4, I mean, we remember that whole fiasco with the DRM stuff and the whole, this is how you, trade a game with your friends, and he hands the guy the disc or whatever. That was brilliant.
Keeps meme.
Brilliant.
Yeah. We got a console for you. It's 360.
Yeah. So Don Matrick wasn't a very good, leader. But anyway, things changed with the Xbox One era and the PS4 era. Going into this generation, I thought the same thing. Hey, things can change, guys. And I'm not saying that, they can't, PS5, there's nothing they can do now. Xbox is going to get ahead and they're going to pull away and there's nothing. No, they are. I think this generation, above all other generations, we're going to see all these consoles I got to include the Nintendo Switch as well because, they still do numbers. They're,
Oh, yeah.
Geez, my son came downstairs the other night, told me he played that Kirby game and was like, 9 out of 10, Dad. And I'm like, okay.
I agree.
I had some choice words, but anyway, it's a game. It's a game. And, if you like your Switch, you like your Switch. But
Sometimes a game is just magic, though. I get it. I haven't bought Kirby, but looking at it, I just know it's going to capture.
But
people.
no, but my basic overall
just
thing
smile,
here is that I think that they are going to be the most competitive we've ever seen. And Microsoft is in this mix with Game Pass. Now PlayStation, you see them doing certain things that's sort of emulating Microsoft in a lot of ways. And that's because competition pushes these innovations, and we're seeing that unfold in front of us. And it's amazing. As a gamer, I love it, man. Everything going on right now is amazing. I just wish we had more AAA new games coming out right now. That's what I wish we had.
Yeah, and they're coming.
But they're
in
coming.
The fall.
They're coming.
Yeah, the wait has been ridiculous, and I got to book in that by saying that if Xbox continued to flounder and went away, just with PlayStation's lead, we have $70 games being pushed by them and some of the big publishers. So that competition is so important. I got to give a shout out to the chat. We've got over 700 people here watching. Hit the like button. Let's get that up to 500. I know a lot of you are having a good time because if you see me looking over here and not at my guests, you guys are messy and hilarious in the chat. And I do see it. You guys are keeping me entertained. Keep it up. You guys are doing a great job. Hit the like button. We kind of talked about the past a little bit. Now we're going to get into the future. Which is there's really good stuff going on. There is one game that we got to talk about that's coming in the future. There's a couple question marks. I'll start with Keebs. Indiana Jones from Lucas Games and Machine Games and Bethesda. What in the heck? When in the heck? What in the heck? What in the heck? What's going on with that?
When did they announce this? I think it was during COVID's first year, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was.
so.
I think it was 20. So 2020 they announced that, and they wrapped.
I do have
up
specific questions,
Wolfenstein
by the
2.
way, but
yeah, I don't know. Like I just
okay. Let me
been a
start with
while,
this,
and I hope we see it. I hope we see it this year.
Like I can't just drop that in your lap and expect you to have something to actually work with.
Yeah, no. Hey, I work with them, and I can tell you everything you need to know. So I'm just waiting on that.
Okay. So what the fans want to know is why Indiana Jones? Is it going to be a first-person game because it's Machine Games?
Mm-hmm.
Please.
And then one more question: is it going to be exclusive to Xbox, or was the licensing already a done deal?
So I really hope it's third person, truly, because
Me too.
it was so disappointing. And for those listening to audio, both of them are nodding their heads. So we're all in agreement on that.
Yes, we
Because
are.
Nice. Thank you for doing that. Yes. Thank you. This show is also on Spotify, Google, and Pocket Podcasts. I usually kind of reset that in, but if you're listening after the fact on the audio version, like Samurai KBG said, yes, we are nodding our heads. Like, yes, we want this third person. Thank you for supporting the show on the podcast platforms. Go ahead. Man.
Yeah. But another outside of just because it's Indiana Jones, like Indiana Jones, you want to see the character. It's such an iconic character. First off, it's one of the most iconic characters of all time. And if you're just doing first person, that doesn't do justice to what that property is. I know I'm doing the robot.
Can you imagine that with a whip and everything, first person?
Yeah.
How
And
ridiculous would that look, Fonz, with a first person whip?
And Kiwi's right. It's you wouldn't have a Tomb Raider. You wouldn't have Uncharted if it wasn't for Indiana Jones. You know?
Right. Yeah. And so, but another reason in terms of big picture is, and I agree with this, there's a lot of folks that say, Xbox is just RPG and first person city now. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And this would be a perfect potential thing. That would be a third person action adventure, which everybody goes to PlayStation 4. They have that in the bag. And so Indiana Jones would be a great thing to do that. And the second thing, is it going to be exclusive? I think it being tied to LucasArts makes it complicated. I really do.
But let me take it to Fonz. Fonz, KOTOR was an exclusive on Xbox. Now it's a timed exclusive on PlayStation. It's also a LucasArts and Lucas Games IP.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a timed
exclusive.
Yeah. I think we're going to get a timed exclusive on that.
You think they're
I
going to
do.
try and make it
I
exclusive
think
for
there'll be like,
Xbox?
I think what it'll be is like a 6-month deal and get it timed on Xbox into Game Pass. And then after that, go to PlayStation. 6 months is a long time. A lot of people out there say, well, these timed exclusives don't really work or whatever. They do. They do work because a lot of people end up buying them right away because of FOMO and all that. People like Deathloop, for instance. I know a lot of Xbox guys who also have a PlayStation that bought it on PlayStation.
Yeah,
they didn't want to wait.
I mean, people will pay $80 or $90 to get a game 3 days early with a little bit extra DLC. So, yeah.
That's why people go to the movie theater. They could wait for it to come to home video, but they don't. They go to the theater because they want to see it. They can't wait.
Yeah, that's a
Can we
great
still call
point.
it home video?
Well, that's a great point because even if a movie comes to a streaming platform, say 30 days later, people still don't wait. They rush to the theater.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's actually a good comparison that Fonz just brought up, though, because that'd be kind of interesting in terms of LucasArts. Like, all right, KOTOR remake, PlayStation gets that for a year or whatever. Indiana Jones, Xbox gets that for a year or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
I like that.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I like that. I'll throw in my 2 cents. I think that these licensing agreements aren't always set up the same way because Bethesda has always made their games for everyone. So I thought, hey, what if there was nothing in the language that says this game has to come to all platforms, because Bethesda was already a multi-platform developer. So what if that language was never in there, that this is just going to be a game and they had to stay true to the licensing and they had to be approved by Lucas Games and LucasArts, right? And all that stuff. And then when Phil's like, oh, by the way, that Indiana Jones game you guys have started on, like, can we make that exclusive? And Todd's like, well, let me check with my lawyers. And they're like, I don't see why not. That could be a possibility. But let me read a couple supers here. We got Hargi Chani, a really good friend of ours.
Amazing.
Gosh dang, Hargi, you and I haven't talked on Xbox in a couple days. He says, I cannot wait until the Activision Blizzard King deal is done. Xbox will be a really good deal for most casual gamers. They should make a Call of Duty edition Series S or X and sell it this holiday season. Woo, that thing would go like crazy. Boba Fett Gaming with Australian 5. Thank you for checking out the show from Australia. Or if you're over here where it's it's not in the late evening, my buddies in the UK that we always get to talk to, it's super late. They're already knocking Z's, but he says, great show and guests and KBG and Fonz. Can't wait to rock my X&C shirt at PAX. Gotta run. Keep it real. Oh man.
Yeah, he's another content creator too. Shout out to Boba Fett Gaming. Great guy.
Yes. And Biff Rinaldi, great name. He supered on your show yesterday. Great name. He says the KFC console war was an air fryer. Do you remember the KFC console, Samurai?
That's right.
Yes.
It looked like an air fryer. Actually, it really was. It could keep your chicken warm. Did they ever make one to sell to anybody, or did they just?
I was about to ask that same question.
I bet you they probably made like a PC prototype with, they probably did that.
That's what I thought. I thought like only like some PC versions went around, but I don't know if they actually sold them.
Well, Taco Bell needs to make one. I'll be all up there. Dark Siamet, thank you so much for the $10 super. Hey, Dark, let's get on MLB and play a game against each other. Your team versus my team, because I think that'd be a good time. He says, I know a guy who has a friend who knows a guy who works at GameStop somewhere. They had 20 PS5s just a few days ago. Also, he says, money talks. People want value for their money. Y'all rocking killer tees. I got to look back at the shirts here. Samurai's got the smooth
I'm just like
tee.
the clean white, whatever.
Clean white
I
tee.
do this to pop out against my background.
There you go. I like to hide like this. I have a plain black shirt and it just looks like a floating head.
Yeah, it does. With
let
the black
couch. Let me see the Sanford and Sons again.
Hey, it's Sanford and Son, baby. Sanford and Son.
Classic.
Yeah. Lamont. Yep.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Hargit Chani, thank you so much again for the $5. He says Xbox could say they have sold more consoles than their competition to shareholders and leave it at that. That would be a big statement. So if they said to the shareholders, KBG, would that ever come out publicly somehow? Get leaked, maybe?
Say to the shareholders what?
That they're selling more consoles than PlayStation. Like say that to the shareholders, get them excited, to get them bolstered up.
I really think that they're just keeping it on the wrap. I don't think they're ever going to release those numbers. I really don't. They're
I think
trying. We're dealing with a much more modest Xbox. I feel like these days they're making massive plays, but they don't really boast about it too much. So
I think they would boast about it. I don't know. I have a feeling.
I think they
would.
want to, but I'm with Keebs that they won't, because they really do have a great modest. They're much more modest.
Image. Yeah.
Yes, and they got beat down pretty good for about 8 years, and so you gotta be thankful for what you have. And I think Xbox is trying to show that they're thankful. The crazy thing is, I'll say this. I wanted to tweet this out, but I think people would totally freak out. I'm going to say something that is so terrible, but we heard it. We heard this for so long. PlayStation is in third place right now. It could be, right? PlayStation could be in third place to a console that you don't have to buy and has no games, because right now they've had very few exclusives other than a couple games last year that were award winners. So it's pretty crazy. I think Keebs says it really well. They're humble. They offer these consoles where you don't need them. You can buy every game on PC. You could stream every one of them on a browser on a PC. It's not capable. You could play them on your phone, or you could stream them on your Xbox One. So more than ever, as we talked about like a half an hour ago, the console is hotter at a time when it's never been not so necessary. How do I say that? Go ahead.
I was going to say, if they boast about anything, they will boast their user numbers. They will not boast their hardware sales. They will boast their user numbers.
I got to give a shout out to Aaron Greenberg, because I think he would. I think Aaron would. Aaron boasts about a lot of things, and if he could, that is, if he was told, "Hey, don't talk." Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, it's almost like when Infinite. They're like, look at this. It's the biggest Halo game ever with 20 million players that tried this thing out. They're gonna do that because they're trying to go this direction of like, hop on Game Pass, play wherever the heck you want, play on this system, whatever, anywhere that this is available. Like, they just want people in their ecosystem, and I think they'll brag about that. They'll brag about like, look at how many people are trying out our platform. So that's what I think. If they boast about anything, I think that'd be the only thing.
Speaking about boasting numbers and stuff, usually PlayStation's the one that boasts numbers, but we're not really hearing anything from them lately, especially with their game sales and stuff. Like usually, by now, Horizon Forbidden West, they would have been touting the numbers. It's kind of weird, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, from what we're seeing, Gran Turismo Sport or Gran Turismo 7 and Horizon Forbidden West are slightly behind, or maybe not too far ahead of what they expected, because we talked about that burst in growth from last generation to now. Gamers have exponentially flocked to the system, and if you looked at a graph, you would predict that Horizon Forbidden West would get a couple million more than the last one, right?
Well, the thing is you have to look at it. Well, the way I look at it anyway is like they have two consoles. They have two different generations that are selling these games, so they're cross-gen. You would think that, they sold like gangbusters. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, we're not hearing from either company in that regard. And I think, Kibi, you're right. I think that the engagement, they've been on top of that for some years now, and I think that's what they're going to boast about. You got a big super chat here.
Yeah, I will get to it. Let's see. We got Drawn TJ, who's always hanging out on the show. Thank you so much, Drawn, for being here. Says, hi, Colt. Hi, Fonz. Hi, Tony. Calls you by your birth name. Flush Jackson, thank you so much for the $20 super. It's funny, I don't even respond to my birth name anymore. Hey Jiminy, no, it's not my name. He says, the PS5 is sick. My best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from this guy who knows this kid who's going with the girl who saw PS5 pass out at 31 flavors last night. I guess it's pretty serious. What in the heck?
Wasn't that from Ferris Bueller's Day Off or something? I swear that's from that movie. I know a lot of 80s stuff, so I think
I love that because I'm so old. Like, my channel demographics show that everybody is at a certain age, most people. So when Fonz and I like to do the old, 80s
our demographics are like 60 and up. Right. It's great. It's great.
I mean, Fonz is a hit at the old folks
remember
home.
to take your pills, people. I just want to put that out there for those of you in chat that need it. You know, your dinner pills. Go ahead and take
Your
those.
dinner pills. Hargy Chani, thank you so much for the 5. He says if Microsoft really wants to win the gen, they have to use a Series S. Make the thing under 200, game over. I don't think they can. I think they're at like 250 or 300 is about where they need to sell it. But they are making money there.
I was right.
Shanasy,
Tony said it was from Ferris Bueller. See,
oh, look at you guys.
I know my. Hey, I know my stuff. My 80s movies.
Yeah, and shout out to Fonz's show, GameStalk Live. He does 5 trivia questions on the air. It is a nerve-wracking experience, but I love it every time. Shannon C. Hayes, thank you so much for the $5 super. Says the fact that Sony's getting Wolverine as a permanent exclusive and they don't own the right like they do with Spider-Man. I mean, they don't have to own the right, I think. That's why I kind of asked Keebs about Indiana Jones. Xbox doesn't own Indiana Jones. They certainly could make it full exclusive or timed exclusive. So I don't know. Xbox needs to grab. They need to grab like
Aaron, Phil, whoever's listening right now, because I know at least one of them's listening to you, Colt. I know they are. Make it at least 6 months exclusive. It would be a big boon for the Xbox. It would. I think that would be a really big thing for Game Pass. Yeah,
because I know Xbox fans are clamoring for like a big established IP like that,
especially if it's a third party. I can't even talk. Third person action adventure. We've been clamoring for one of those, like something fresh for the Xbox. And if we get a sort of Tomb Raider-esque type game, or dare I say Uncharted, with this, it would be huge. And
what if Indiana Jones is a Connect only game?
Oh man, it's a card game. It's a card game. It's like Uno.
It's a card game.
Uno branded with Indiana Jones on it. Like, oh man.
Oh, we're just kidding, chat. Or are we? Yeah. Shout out to DCRU Seeds. Thank you so much for the $40 super chat. That's an orange one. That's amazing. Thank you so much. He says, do you guys have predictions on who's going to buy Ubisoft? He must have looked at the topics list because he's like right on time here. Do you think Xbox is in the position to add them as another big addition to support Game Pass's continued expansion? Let's talk about the whole Xbox is going to buy Ubisoft rumor or pipe dream. Keebs, get us started on, you haven't played Assassin's Creed, but you've played some Ubisoft games. What's your expertise on this idea?
Well, so here's my main thing, that because this is going around, and the source of this, I think I was looking into this earlier this morning because it looks like it was reported today or maybe last night or something. There's just basically anonymous sources telling Bloomberg several companies, including the world's biggest private equity firms, Blackstone and KKR and Co., are considering a takeover for Ubisoft or whatever. In a nutshell, is just that Ubisoft might potentially be on the table to be acquired. And there's statements that they've said in the past that they are potentially like open to the idea, basically, and that they're willing to hear offers, but they're not exactly advertising they're for sale. So with that in mind, I did a video a while back, and I'm sure maybe you guys might have thought of this too. When Ubisoft Plus announced, or is that Plus? I think it's Plus. When they announced that they are finally coming to console, but they only came to Xbox. They did not come to PlayStation with that. They've always been on PC with that, and finally when they come to console, they only came to Xbox, which I thought was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was a sign. And around the same exact time, that's when they did the Extraction day and date thing. So they might be testing the waters with them, or at least they're building a relationship with Microsoft. But I never see PlayStation pulling that gun. I don't know how expensive that would be. If anybody would do that move, it would be Microsoft. If it's gaming, I hope it is. And it's not Amazon, and it's not Facebook, and it's not Google.
Or Tencent.
Yeah, or Tencent. Yeah. So it's very possible. I just admit, like, I don't see it right now. I feel like we have to wait until this Activision Blizzard thing closes to hear anything that massive again. Until that closes, I don't think we will hear anything of that.
perfectly framed, I would say. Very perfectly framed. Especially ending with that. Like, you're not going to, if this deal has to go down in the next several months, I think Keebs nailed it. Fonz, how much is Ubisoft worth? You don't have to look it up. Maybe you have an idea of ballpark. You remember Zocker, dealer, talking about how much they're worth. Is this thing possible? Do you think Xbox would even want them?
I think they're worth $1 million. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know how much they're worth, but they're worth a lot. Come on, they've got to be. And this would be a huge figure for. I agree with you. It'd be a big risk because right now they're being looked at. Scrutinized for this Activision Blizzard deal that they're spending $70-something billion on. And they're looked at as a monopoly in a lot of people's eyes, or a potential monopoly, I should say, in a lot of people's eyes, which we know they're not, but that's just the optics. And if they were to say, oh, yeah, by the way, we're also buying Ubisoft, that would be insane. Like, people would just be like, those same people would go, see, I told you, they're becoming a monopoly. This is, we got to stop them now. No Activision, no Ubisoft. And I don't think that's going to happen. If they are on the market, unfortunately, Kibi, I think that you're possibly looking at like an Amazon acquisition because
I picture it
because I don't see Sony forking out that much money for them, because I think they're at least 40 billion. I would throw that number out there at least.
They are a little sketchy.
I would. Yeah,
I remember looking this up and like what projected, how much Capcom and Bandai and all this stuff is worth, and they're surprising. Like, nothing is even half as worth what the Activision Blizzard thing is. Surprisingly, they were all like in the 5 to 15 billion club, basically. So they're around the Bethesda size, basically. So it's more.
Now that I look at ZeniMax, the full acquisition, I think that they got them on the cheap compared to Activision Blizzard.
Agreed.
Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like,
a shout out to my buddy Kid Smooth in the chat who says Ubisoft is less than 10 billion. I think I can't remember who said it in the chat. I got to give him props for saying it. It's right here. I can see some of the letters in my mind. Let me find it as I scroll up. Hargeet said it as well, but I got to give a shout out to the first one I saw. Viper X. RG Viper X said 5.1 billion for Ubisoft. Sounds like that's something you looked up, because Hargeet says 5.2. So yeah, Kid Smooth also says under the 10 billion mark for Ubisoft. And I got to say, like, Ubisoft, I said sketchy, but while you guys are still talking, but Ubisoft it's a little shaky about how their games come out. They have some of my favorite games, and they have games that I don't like, or some games that kind of flopped. They just make so much stuff. And I don't know. It seems like something Xbox would want, all this content, all these great AAA games. They make mostly all big AAA games that would go great in Game Pass. But it
would have to be well after the Activision Blizzard deal was all the way through, and they got those games. And I'm talking even maybe 2 years down the line, because you can't do that right away, because people will start talking Monopoly again. And
what's kind of funny about this, though, is that they potentially would be having something every year.
Oh, no, they have that potential now.
They already
have it. Yeah.
Phil is already promising.
That's what I mean. They're just on that streak right now. We're just Bethesda.
Yeah,
right, next year. Activision next year.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Phil said he wants to have a AAA every season or every quarter. So you'd have a spring, summer, fall, and winter. You'll have a big game. But that doesn't even count all the other things they're going to have. And I think he's kind of underestimating, because once all these studios are ready to crank out games, if you look at a roadmap, I tried to build one out in a video. If you look at all the studios and how often they put out games, it starts to fill out. Remember Connect 4? The game Connect 4 Fonz, where you drop in and before you get toward the end of the game, like, every spot is filled as you go across. That's such a nerdy old 80s reference there, but from Milton and Bradley. But
shout out
let me
to
get
them.
a
They're probably
shout. They're not a sponsor, all right.
Yeah.
But shout out to the chat with the supers.
Suck.
Dreadpool, another good friend, says Fonz and Colt sponsored by Fixident, not by Manscaping. Can you? Can you imagine?
Man.
Super Fixing It Polydent or whatever they used to call that.
I'd take them out and put them in my cup.
They used to always do that. Those old commercials, they take the dentures, they stick them to a coffee mug, and then pick up the coffee mug by the dentures. Shout out to the 80s. But Stark CMF, thank you so much for another $10 super chat. He says, this super chat is one of my personal favorites. I'd like to dedicate it to a young man who doesn't think he's seen anything good today. Cameron Fry, this one's for you. There's your
Wayne
Ferris
Newton,
Bueller,
right there. Wayne Newton, Donka Shane. Yep.
Old classic. Highlander 001, thank you so much for the $5 super. He said, the only real problem is the fact that they have 20,000 employees. That is a huge cost. That's Ubisoft, right? They have so many people working there.
So
I didn't know
many teams everywhere. Yeah.
That's
Also,
why it would
I
be huge. Yeah. Be expensive.
I put in the chat, how old are you? And I felt like, well, that's kind of a creepy question to ask, but it's
How old are you, Chad?
I saw that and I was like, what?
You're
How
like
old are you?
You're like on AOL Instant Messenger. ASL.
Answer
question
me
mark. I need
Are
to
you
know. Are you near me? I'm in this city.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you
Oh
kids
my
able to
gosh.
buy your M-rated games?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you have some guy stand out in front of a convenience store. Need me to buy Grand Theft Auto for you?
A lot of people out here, a lot of people don't even know the ASL and all that back in the day. Yeah. Weird times.
Man.
Great
Shout out
times.
the old
Great
chat times. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But one thing we can talk about with certainty with the Ubisoft thing is a pipe dream. It's an idea. It's a concept. But Microsoft just announced today they're hiring a specific person to run Xbox Game Studio acquisitions and studio buyouts. Like, they're hiring a person that will do nothing but look for studios to buy. KBG, who is Xbox looking at? Who would they like to partner up with?
Well, due to my time at Machine Games, and I can tell you everything about it. I bring it back that joke from earlier. I mean, I have no idea, but I'm breaking my cover. But I have to be honest, I don't want them to buy any more publishers. I just don't. It's as you said, they've already, you were saying before how they want to have a quarterly AAA release.
Mm-hmm.
They have over 30 teams. And if they gave each of those teams a 3 to 5 year development cycle, you're done. You're good. But they hired this person because, yeah, they most likely aren't done if they're hiring for that. And if they did, I personally want them to fill that Japanese market up. I really do. I want them to get some platformer stuff, some JRPG stuff. And I admit I'm into that stuff, but it's just a market that they really don't have right now. And I think that they could really benefit from doing that. So I would rather them go back to what they were doing in 2018 and what PlayStation has been doing. You already got 2 publishers under your belt, sort of 3, because Activision and Blizzard are basically 2 together. So now just go back to getting some studios that can help you on that department and bring something like that every few years.
It's way smarter for them to buy a studio instead of chill out like an FTC watchdog acquisition. Fonz, we've been talking quite a bit about who Xbox has worked well with. Who would you like to see them pick up and bring onto the team, a studio? Because I think I'm in agreement with Keebs. Leave the publishers out. They already have 2 major publisher teams.
Yeah, I'm with Keeb here. I think that they just need to focus on the teams they already have, get them all right, because we know that some of the development teams are in need of some great management right now, and I think that they are being steered in the right direction already. But I think they need to focus on what they have, who they have, and then I think just continue to get more deals with multi-plat developers and publishers to get their games into Game Pass, like they've been doing. You know, the indies are nice. The AAA multi-plats that they've gotten have been nice. Just keep continuing with that alongside everything you've got, and they're gonna do awesome, man. There's so many studios under how many? 32? There's over 30, right?
At least 30
studios,
and in those studios they have multiple teams in them.
You're talking
a lot
thousands
of them
developers
on
here.
2 teams per. Yeah.
Yeah, thousands of developers here because each one has, a couple hundred plus, dev teams, and I just see them making so many different games. Starting next year, I think we're going to see that roll out. And from then on out, it's going to be crazy the amount of games we're going to get in Game Pass.
Real quick, let me read a super from Risk It for a Biscuit, who's a good friend of mine. Risk It for the Biscuit. I missed this one in the list. He says, with an Australian 8, thank you so much for doing this, Risk It. He says, I'm with Colt on this. To buy Ubisoft or Microsoft would be a big risk. I can't see Ubisoft selling either. I think Jason's talking out of his rear. He corrects himself. So, it sounds like they're looking to be bought, but I'm kind of with Keebs that some conglomerate may pick them up. I think Zocker87, I was talking to him today. He said it'll be like some telecom company or some company we don't know what they do might pick them up. So you were raising your hand before I read that, Keebs. So you were going to say something. I hope I didn't knock it out of your brain.
Was just I saw. So if there was a studio, Platinum would be pretty cool. Bring back Scalebound, baby. Bring back Scalebound.
But no, let it die. Team, huh? Let it die. I'm on that team.
I want that back. That crap looked cool.
I want Fonz and Keebs to arm wrestle for this one if Scalebound comes back or not.
Over the top. I've learned the technique. I've watched Sylvester Stallone. You're going down, Keebs.
A shout out to Dylan. No. But shout out to Kids Move who brought up Sega. I don't want them to buy another publisher, but I have to admit, from my issues earlier, Sega would fill all those because that has Atlas, the people that do the Persona games, and that has the Sonic team or whatever. So that would instantly fill my issue if they did do something.
And they work together well. Like Xbox and Sega have a partnership right now. They've gotten along. They know how that all works, and it's organic.
And I think that's fine. Leave it at that. They're working together well right now. Leave it at that. But I do agree that they could potentially buy, like in the future, smaller developer teams. They could pick up some smaller ones and help grow them as well. But right now, just work on what you have. You have so much potential there with all these studios. It's gonna be insane. I always think about all the games that we've seen on paper. I don't know if you guys in chat have looked at any of these documentations where it shows all the games they're working on, even unannounced. Like if it says a dev team, it might say like they're working on 4 games and 3 of them might say unannounced. Still,
right?
It's awesome to see that because it's like, wow, there are so many games coming up, so many games.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it is crazy. I got to ask you about one studio, Fonz. Do you think they should pick up Crystal Dynamics?
Crystal Dynamics. They're kind of
the makers of
big,
the great
man, but
Tomb Raider.
But here's the thing:
the Avengers.
Again, this is a situation where they already have a good rapport with them. I mean, they're helping out with Perfect Dark right now, which unfortunately isn't a third-person action adventure, but that's another story, But yeah, they're helping out there already. So Daryl Gallagher, he was the head over there. They've got a good rapport, so there's no reason to acquire them right now. I don't see a reason to.
Yeah, I think they're going to test drive them for a little bit. Yeah. Motalk has a $5 super says, what do you guys think about FSR 2.0? Do you think it'll come to older titles or just newer? Thank you for the content, guys. I'm not going to bug you on this one, Keebs, because it's a super technical thing, but that is
know what that is.
Yeah, there you go. That is Fidelity Super Resolution. It's where it takes the game and it uses an algorithm between each frame to sharpen the image to where it looks like 4K, but it's actually running at half of the resolution performance wise. When you cut the resolution in half, you can double performance sometimes. So basically you get great performance, double the clarity, the sharpness of the image. I know this answer. It's a quick answer. It will come to newer titles as developers use it. It's something they can just turn on and run through a process. And it's an algorithm. It doesn't have to be any special hardware. And it will not come to older titles as far as I know, because it has to be built into the pipeline for the game unless they go back and patch it. So I would assume just newer titles, but that's a good question, Motak. Yudana Kizada says, the X and C brought to you by Rich Chocolatey Ovaltine. Oh my gosh, that's super.
Malto meal. Yeah.
I love Malto meal. Lord Starkiller, thank you so much for the $10. Says, looking forward to the ABK acquisition. That's Activision Blizzard King to go through so we can get Call of Duty on Game Pass. Would be nice if Ubisoft Plus became a part of Game Pass. Keebs, you think that Ubisoft Plus will throw in their hat like EA Access has done and said, hey,
I believe that. Like that's a lot more potentially likely, and that's what I was teasing out a while ago, and maybe a lot of others too. That could be more likely than them just outright buying Ubisoft. They didn't buy EA; they just partnered with EA to make that part of Game Pass Ultimate. So that could be much more likely. But if Ubisoft got bought out by somebody, would that even still be an option? That's a question.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're having a good time on the show, this is the XNC podcast. I'm the host, Colteastwood. I'm here with Samurai KBG and Jay Fonzarelli of Games Talk Live and the Fonzarelli Gaming YouTube channel.
Yep.
Oh man, I sometimes words are tough to say, but if you're having a good
Junior, yeah.
and anonymity, if you're having a good time with the show, hit the like button. Let's get that to 500. We've had about 800 people watching the show. I hope you're enjoying it. We've got some more stuff to talk about. We're going to get into Xbox's new event and their announcement coming here in just a moment. We've got a couple super chats here from King Metro Chan. Thank you so much for the 5. Says, call it dark horse contender, but I think Microsoft will buy From Software. And I'm going to shake my head and say, I don't know why From Software would even want to be sold. They're doing amazing on their own, but
they will never.
It is something to think about. They never be sold. If I was From Software, the way things are going, business as usual, they're doing a great job. They just had the biggest game of the year, and
I was told on Twitter that they were bought by Sony. Were they not?
You were told that on Twitter.
Oh.
Yes, that's absolutely right. You were told that.
Man.
Flame, thank you so much for
Sony
the 2. Says Xbox needs to buy Square Enix and then stop right there. I mean, Keebs, that would pretty much seal the deal, wouldn't it? Square Enix and all
For
of their
JRPG
studios
side, yeah.
Yeah.
But they just need to work with Square more. PlayStation works with them constantly.
Exactly.
PlayStation's the better partner for them, and Xbox has already established someone in Japan. They're going to work on partnerships and put together maybe a game studio there. But it's really about that partnership to get people aware that Xbox is a great platform to put your game on as well. And I think that's the best way to say it.
Yes.
Jonas the Dad, thank you, says Starfield will be the herald of the game flood. It might be right before then, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about the big Xbox game showcase. Wolf Assassin, who's been a member for 12 months with the Ori picture, says, I just want to see Xbox Summer Showcase right now. We can deal with accusations later. I love it. Although I wouldn't be opposed to Platinum or Itagaki Games. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, shout out to the people who want Platinum. Platinum's also hit or miss. They have some of the best games. They also have some of the worst, but they are super talented. One more. Jonas the Dad says, this super chat brought to you by Werther's Original. You guys are messy. We are so old. Splendiferous also says, From Software has a parent company, don't they? Keebs, do you know about From Software's parent company that owns them?
I don't remember. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, but they do. I don't remember much about that though.
So not for sale, basically.
No.
All right. So here is, let me just read this quote. We'll end the acquisition talk. This was the announcement for the person they're hiring. It says, we partner closely with gaming leadership team to identify and evaluate transformative growth opportunities. Our charter includes helping to answer Microsoft's gaming's most challenging business questions, leading games merger and acquisition program like Activision Blizzard, ZeniMax, Double Fine, etc., and identifying and understanding key industry dynamics. So that kind of goes back to what we've all three of us established here. They want to figure out who's the best fit and who will work with them before they get out the checkbook. But let's talk about the game showcase, because this is the setup. Let me start us off with normally around June 13th this year, which would be the second Sunday of the month for June, Xbox would host their E3 event, their game showcase. And I would fully expect them in about 1 month from now to announce that game showcase will take place only on YouTube and Twitch, online only, to be out on June 13th. That's my most solid prediction based off what we know and what we've seen. But I was talking to someone behind the scenes that said that Xbox may do a Sunday show.
Hold up. This is
exclusive.
Go ahead.
That Xbox will do a Sunday show, and I'll just add in my opinion, June 13th in the morning, and then Monday, Pete Hines could lead the Bethesda ZeniMax showcase back to back with Xbox branding like they did last year, because right now we're in the situation where Xbox's first party has a lot to say, and Bethesda has so much to say that the idea is there's no way they're going to do a 2 or 2.5 hour show, which is a long time, and try to shoehorn everything in.
Yep.
All of these need their spotlight. So put your thinking caps on, chat and audience, and Keebs and Fonz, about what needs to be shown and what is expected to be shown at this showcase. Fonz, kick us off. What's first party outside of Bethesda?
I think that they need to start. I wish that they could show anything from Perfect Dark, but we know what happened there. And I don't think they're really going to show anything on that at this time. They, because they've pretty much stuck to saying that they're not going to show what isn't ready. And we know that's far off. State of Decay 3, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be shown either. I think that's pretty far off as well. But I think here's what is going to be announced. No, it's not so good, because I haven't even said anything that they're going to show, Colt. It's terrible.
No, I agree with you so far in your predictions. Yeah.
But I do think that they are finally going to announce and showcase Forza Motorsport 8. I think that will be one of the things they do, because we haven't really heard from it, and everybody's kind of expecting it this year. So I think they're going to show it, and that'll be coming out holiday this year. And, of course, with Bethesda, Starfield.
Okay.
Starfield gameplay. And that's why at the Bethesda show, I think that they're going to show that. I think they're going to show like a good 15 minutes of like gameplay and kind of a breakdown of things that you can do in the game. Get everybody really hyped, a really good hype gameplay trailer for that. That's what I'm most looking forward to, honestly. But
I want you to take us on the road to Bethesda, Fonz, but I want to hear from Keebs, because you kind of set up some of the games we might not see, which is perfect. I mean, you're setting it up perfect. Keebs, what from Xbox first party studios and some of the partnerships do you think we're going to see at the Xbox event? So I don't get you like stuck into trying to talk about all the Bethesda stuff.
Yeah, just the Xbox stuff.
Yeah.
I think Motorsport is actually a pretty gosh darn safe bet, because that was announced back in 2020, and we used to get those pretty gosh darn frequently, if I remember right. And it's probably about time. So I definitely think Motorsport is a solid bet. And honestly, that is probably it in terms of Xbox Game Studios.
No. You know what could happen though, Kibi, is just one more thing at the end and show gameplay for Avowed.
Now, Avowed, I'm expecting Avowed to be nearly ready. I think it's very possible we'll see gameplay of Avowed, and that it comes out in 6 to 8 months from the event. I think it's actually not too far away, because just according to Windows Central saw some rough gameplay. They hadn't tightened the graphics on level 3
level
yet,
3.
Fonz.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah.
What do you think, Keebs? Are you going to argue with Fonz and I on Avowed? Where do you think it's sitting? It's fine if you do.
I just
block you on Twitter.
When they showed it, that didn't seem like gameplay to me. I'm always skeptic when I am looking at something that was a cinematic. I feel like if I see, and that's why I'm really skeptic about Redfall, which we'll get to. But like when I see something that's a cinematic, I feel like we are not seeing that game. That if it's not the in-engine thing, we're not going to see it for at the minimum another year, but more likely probably 2. But that's just me. But
so when did we see Avowed? Do you remember? Can you pinpoint?
That was 2020. That was July 2020.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's possible, but I saw somebody bring up Contraband in the chat. Maybe, very, very maybe. That's another big maybe for me. I'm pretty much thinking of the stuff that was announced at like that July 2020 showcase. Now it's been 2 years.
Yes.
Will we see stuff from that showcase? The only one I am fully expecting is Motorsport, but Contraband and Avowed would be very pleasant surprises. And the timing might be neat to showcase like whatever these narrative events in season 2 of Halo Infinite is, if it's significant enough to market that. Honestly, everything Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
That's the other bet.
Yep.
Actually, Motorsport and Hellblade 2. Hellblade 2, not as much as Motorsport, but I think there's a good chance for Hellblade 2 because that was announced way back in 2019, at the end of 2019, granted. But it's been almost 3 years since then. They showed a good, decent chunk at the Game Awards. It might be time.
As far as Contraband, I've heard that people have seen some of what Contraband is. It's a third-person heist game, right? Set in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So Avalanche is working on it. This is the team who brought us the Just Cause series. Now, Just Cause has fallen off.
Right? Rage 2. Rage.
And yes, and they made Rage 2. So, which is a first-person game. So, my faith, I don't like using the word faith in gaming, but my confidence
Your gut
in Contraband
tells you.
is a little wishy-washy. I'm excited about something if they really want to riff off of the 70s era, you know, where they want to riff off of the stylistic and the music and just the aesthetic of 70s. Like, you don't get that often. Period piece games are pretty rare lately outside of like Mafia, right?
Mafia 3 did well there, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, gosh, that's a great game. That nobody liked. Anyway.
Yeah, I know, except us. Yeah.
Just you and I liked it. So Contraband is I'm very confident we will see a gameplay reveal because what Xbox, I see Keeves got to say something. Xbox likes to show gameplay the year of or a year window for release. Yeah. So I think we're going to see a lot more gameplay, way more than we saw last year. Keeves, take it.
Yes.
I've been seeing some people in the chat bring up, just goes on the Xbox side of things, partnership stuff. There is a good deal. Like, I'm super excited for Somerville. That is an indie game that is coming day one to Game Pass. I forgot what it was called. There was like a very artsy,
replaced,
cyberpunkish, replaced. Yep. And Scorn as well. Like, there's a good deal of like kind of partnered games. That could very much happen.
Yeah. We'll see Scorn even though it's coming out in October. So like I would rather see that in some other type of reveal, but yeah, you guys are probably right.
Isn't it kind of crazy though when you think of just the first party there and you think about, I mean, they're all first party, including Bethesda, but I know you're talking about just the first party before Bethesda came to be under Microsoft and their show. But it's crazy to think about how just the games we mentioned alone that could possibly be there. Hellblade 2. You've got Forza. You've got Contraband. You've got, what was the other ones we mentioned too that could be there? You've got
Avowed.
You've got big games there that have the
Fable.
potential to be shown this year.
I don't think we'll see. I'm looking at my graphic that I put together right now of some of the IPs and franchises that are set with Xbox. Some of them are Activision included. I'll kind of leave those out, but I'm going to ask you guys, and then you can answer for the chat, if these games will make an appearance at this E3 showcase. Is there a Wolfenstein game ready to show, Keebs?
Oh,
unless they have two teams. I don't know if they have two teams.
I mean, what do you know about Machine Games? Because they said they were working on. You don't know.
I mean, I just would find that weird if they only had one team and they're working on both Indiana Jones and Wolfenstein. But I remember what you're talking about. They said they were potentially working on something else. So
they said that Wolfenstein was still going. So my other question, Fonz, are we going to see something like a cinematic or a conceptualized trailer for Indiana Jones at this event, or is it too early?
No, I think it's too early. I think, it's too early because I don't even think we're going to see a Fable. I don't think we're going to see anything about Fable.
I don't think so either. Do you guys think that we'll see something from Coalition regarding them working on a new franchise, or that they've started to work on Gears 6?
So
they're doing
I
both
saw
right
somebody
now.
say that in the chat. And yeah, I'm raising my arms if you're a podcast person. I saw somebody in the chat, like Gears 6, maybe. I was just talking about this with my buddy, and I'm like, dude, Gears 5 was September 2019. It's been 3 years, and they used to be on that same cycle Halo was every 3 years. And we don't know what's coming next for Gears. But maybe they're trying to avoid what happened with Halo. And they're like, Let's wait until we're close.
Well,
But,
Well, I think
the reason-
Gears would get an extra year by default because they won an extra year, and then you add another year on because everybody's had an extra year because what's happened. So
I don't think we're. Oh, that's my alarm. I'm going down. Ship's going down. Mayday, mayday. Yeah, the studio is flooding. No, I don't think we're going to see a Gear 6 right now because
I don't think so.
I think it's way too early because they said that they were going to be working on a new IP before Gears. Okay. So even if they started work to do something on Gears, even say in the last 2 years, still way too early. And I think that they're just now like getting a grasp on Unreal Engine 5 and everything. And they want to implement that into Gear 6. I think they're going to take their time with it, really flesh it out, really make it a complete, like just a showcase of a game. It's going to look amazing. It's going to feel amazing. And they want to put a lot of time into that, I think. So we're that's a ways out.
yeah, I've got a lot to say about Gear 6. I won't do here tonight. Absolute
Yeah.
Sword asks, thank you so much for the $2 Absolute Sword. He says, where's Bright Memory Infinite? It's one developer working with a small team. I didn't really love the demo.
Oh,
and
it was
I
a
paid
demo.
for it.
That's right. I
I
was
bought
confused.
it twice. I bought it on Steam because it looked really super promising, and then it came to Xbox as a paid demo. Horrible. And I critiqued that for being a paid demo that was 25 minutes long. Should have been free. Motok says, this is a great question for Fonz, and then I want to kick it over to Keeps because I don't even know where he sits on this. I know where Fonz does. Motok, thank you so much for the $2. Says, will Saints Row 5 be a hit or miss?
I think it'll be a hit, more of a hit than a miss because right now, well, it doesn't come out till August. But I'll say it's going to be a hit just because I think a lot of people want this type of sandbox gameplay. Despite the story being just crazy and kind of dumb, the game itself looks like a lot of fun, a lot of customization and things you could do in the game. A lot of people are gonna have fun with it, man, including myself.
Well
So
said.
I can't wait to play it.
What about you, Keeps? Are you got like your cringe hood on to keep you away from Saints Row, or how you feeling about that?
No, the Saints Row series I have mostly experienced through a friend. I myself didn't touch it. I just would watch him play it all the time. But if I was like the over or under here, I think over as well. Like I think I'd lean more towards, I'm not saying like a massive hit, but more successful than failure, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I just wonder how people are. I feel like that game is going to undersell, and it's going to upset the team. And I just know I'm with Fonz. We're going to have so much fun with it, and we're going to get made fun of for enjoying it.
Hey, can we co-op that game?
I'm pretty sure all the other ones.
That'll be fun if we jump in and just run around together, do some crazy stuff.
As
Saints
you'll
Row
be
is
Burt
always
Reynolds,
a good time.
and I'll be crazy buff Cold Eastwood. It'll be amazing. Hey,
There we
welcome
go.
to the channel membership. Flush Jackson for joining the channel membership. You get early access to videos. Every month I do a merch giveaway, which I'm behind on sending one to Yodani. He won last month. I'm not wearing my merch now, but you get to pick what you want. I just send a link to the store. You pick a mug, a cup like this, or a shirt of your choice, and then I'll send it out to you. But thank you so much for supporting the show. Lord Star Killer with the $5 says, another 80s reference. Where's the beef? Of course, Fonz. What product is Where's the beef?
Wendy's, two old ladies. Yep.
I always thought it was Burger King, but it was Wendy's.
No, it was Wendy's.
Oh man, you know your stuff. So, 2 more games I got to ask about. Then we got to talk about a tough subject. Is Redfall? Well, first of all, say, will we see Everwild? Make that a short answer.
God,
guys, will we
I
see
hope
Everwild?
so. God, I hope so. I really hope so. I have no definitive answer to that, but I really hope so. Just tell us, what the heck is this game? Just please.
Well, I know they're working in a combat system, so that's a good thing. Fonz, do you care about Everwild, or do you think we're going to see it, or if they have to give themselves distance? Do
I care about Everwild? From what we saw originally, no, I don't care at all. I think it looked crazy. I'm not a fan of that particular art style. That's why I wasn't a big fan of like what is it, Sea of Thieves. But could it be a great game? It could be, but I don't know, because they didn't even really show what it was about. They didn't even know what it was about. They kind of just showed, some tree hugging and some seeds pollinating. I don't know. They just showed a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I said,
like, anybody out there that says, "Oh, I was looking forward to this game," no, you weren't. You didn't know anything that was happening. You didn't know about the gameplay or anything. It was just
that's true.
It was just visuals.
Well, I said
on the
show,
it was a cartoon. That's what it was.
I said on the show like a month ago that if it reinvigorates a modern Viva Pinata, it could be a big deal. But that doesn't mean it might be something that I'll love. But we'll see.
Viva Pinata. You think it's going to be something like? I didn't see that at all.
Well, that was
I hear what you're saying.
Like, because you tame the animals,
and
you get them to work for you, and if it recaptures some of, like, if they kind of modernize and make more expansive with 4-player co-op or an online open big world where you build and you tame creatures and you name them and you go and find a plant and you find out what it is and what it can do, and you combine all these things and make something, like, it could be a big deal. It might not be the game for me, but just like Sea of Thieves, it could get 20 million people playing and be a massive cult hit on Twitch streams.
Or what if
Who knows?
What if you just walk around hugging trees all day? What if that's the whole game?
There for it.
You're there for it, huh?
I'm there for it.
Yeah. See, Kibi's there for it too. Look, he doesn't like RPGs, but he'll play hugging trees all day. Wow. No.
It could be a big deal. Well, he's out there hugging trees as I'm watching on the 7-second delay. You guys are amazing. We got to talk about Halo season 2.
Oh.
You guys have played a lot of Halo.
Why do you got to bring the show down and get depressed here? And come on.
Well, let's make this
you
quick.
mentioned Redfall before that. We skipping that?
Oh, yes, we have to talk about Redfall.
Yeah,
how about this? How about this? This is my show, gosh dang it. Hit the like button if you're having a good time. And if you don't want to hear us whine about Halo, hit the like button for sure. We got to talk about Redfall because I was watching the trailer again. Many times we see this stuff and we don't go back and really put a magnifier on it. Keebs, what's going on with Redfall? And then we'll get to Fonz. Like, what are you expecting? What's going to happen?
Well, they were supposedly in development for this game, I believe, a year before they revealed it. So I teased at this earlier. All we saw was a cinematic. The cinematic showed us a good deal of, like you were saying, if you look at it with the magnifying glass, it probably showed us a good deal of like concepts for the game. I think that's actually okay. I was going to say it's crazy that Bethesda revealed that game and was like, guess what? Summer next year.
Yeah,
but this is also the same company that's like, here's Fallout 4 or Fallout 76. It's coming out in a few months. Like, what? So right. They've done crazy crap like that before. So it might be possible because of that. I'm really hoping it still happens, not in like the usual summertime, but they actually push it to the fall, so it's actually Red Fall. It comes out.
Oh, here we go. Red Fall.
Fall, and it comes out in October.
Oh,
it's a Halloween game. It's a good
Fonz,
Halloween
what do you?
game.
Well, I mean, it's the name of the town, but
yeah, it's kind of genius
like
though. Being put out around Halloween, but if I'm thinking about the dates. I think
very close.
October 28th is a Friday. So, but then I think that might be a day God of War could drop. So that'd be bad for Redfall. But no, Redfall going straight into Game Pass. It sounds accurate because, I don't have too much to say about Redfall. I've heard some things, and I just think that this is a game that I particularly won't really play much. I will try it, of course, and if it's great and I like it, I'll say so. But
what does it remind you of, Fonz? Because I know you're in
from
the
what
same
I've heard,
kind of
some of the things, and you've heard things too, Colt. To me, if what we're hearing is kind of true, it's kind of reminding me of Back 4 Blood in a way, and I don't really care for that.
There's a couple other games.
I adore Back 4 Blood.
Do you?
I always hear that.
Fine. That's fine.
I always hear about people that absolutely love that game.
It's not bad. It's just not great for me.
It really
Shout
just
out to-
depends, yeah, because it does look like it's a co-op,
Yeah.
not shooter, but a co-op experience to go on missions together with people potentially. So, which
Yeah.
actually, sorry, Colt, I thought of this. Please don't let it be Ninja Theory's Bleeding Edge.
Oh yeah.
Ninja
yeah,
Theory
absolutely.
was such
Absolutely.
a
Oh,
praised
that's-
studio for what they did with Hellblade, and then the second they became a Microsoft studio, they produced Bleeding Edge, and people did not care for that game. Arcane is a super praised studio, and I hope the second they become an Xbox studio, they didn't get forced to just spit out this Arcane game.
I mean, we know that Phil and Matt Booty and the team are not saying, you know what, games as a service, you got to do this, but it is interesting to see. This is Arcane Austin, the big team who did Dishonored 1 and 2. They did Prey, and I think so. They did Prey. Pretty sure that's not Arcane Leon. Leon, sorry.
I gotta say though, like when it comes down to Bleeding Edge, typically, I mean, not many MOBAs do well on console. They just don't, and that's what the game was. It was a MOBA.
Well,
and
there's a couple other games, Fonz, that you and I've played together, and you kept spamming the emoticon. Sorry.
That was
World War Z.
World
War Z?
Yeah.
And I like that game, but it just wears on me really quickly. I felt the same with Back 4 Blood, but Alvin in chat says that it's more like a Borderlands clone. We did hear that that's not very good for Fonz. Fonz doesn't love Borderlands, but that's really good for me. But we also heard that it was a Borderlands type game. It felt very Borderlands like. And then another person said that leak was inaccurate. It's more like Back 4 Blood or World War Z. And then you've got this Evil Dead game coming out. I can't talk about that because I've been testing it a litlittle bit in the Insider program. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about that, but I'm we're a little worried about picking a standard character and you don't build or grow the character. You just pick up a couple equipment pickups or an upgraded sight on your gun and you just move from level to level. That stuff isn't working for me. So but Arcane Austin is really amazing. I just can't see them making a paint by numbers generic, Left 4 Dead wannabe.
Yeah, I agree. I don't picture it either. I really don't. That's why I'm hoping like it looks like that, but it's not. It's some kind of middle ground, maybe compromise. I don't know.
I also have to interject because I know we're all thinking it, right? We know the game is in first person and that I think you can change the camera to third person. Making a game third person doesn't automatically make it better because there are lots of games that look pretty good, run at third person, but it's just a camera angle. It's not really about being in third person. I think what we're all mean is a game where your character moves around the world, can mantle and climb and interact with the world instead of running around with a gun, which a lot of games do. In third person, it doesn't make them amazing bangers, but I don't know, chat. Let me know what you think about that. Let's see. Hargy Chani, thank you so much for the 5. Says Everwild, the tree hugging RPG, just for Fonz. Yeah, we'll see what's Everwild. But shout out to Jose Linares who said he made multiple accounts to hit the like button so that he wouldn't have to hear about Halo. If anybody's wondering what's going on with Halo, they're very far behind in their content. They're having lots of internal problems, and people are not happy with the frequency of the content.
I'll say this. I think, they're a talented studio. You can't take that away from them. Look, what they've built with the game that we've been able to play and see so far has been great with Halo Infinite. But there's something there going on to where they're not getting things done efficiently, I'll say. And I think that's due to management. I think you have to look at the top when things aren't doing well at your studio. You have to go to the top, because if you've got a bunch of talented individuals underneath you and they're just not getting it done, it's got to be leadership. It's got to be. And hopefully Microsoft gets that situation under control, because what I played with the campaign, I liked it a lot. I thought it was a great campaign. Could they have done more in the game visually and stuff? Yeah. But I think that they just didn't really put out the product I think that they really wanted to. Like, I don't think they got everything in there that they probably wanted to in time. especially without the co-op and stuff like that. That was a big thing to, omit from a game that traditionally had co-op there day one.
That was a tough choice for them too, and it was tough
then
for us
Forge,
as fans.
of course. But yeah, I think it all starts at the top, and they really need to get things under control there because Halo Infinite is a good game.
Well, what's your opinion of Halo and how it's sitting, Keebs?
So Halo is one of my 2 favorite game franchises of all time. Here's your boy. Here's your boy. Yeah. But, love that statue. Yeah, and so with that in mind, it really is like my 2 favorite game franchises of all time is Kingdom Hearts and Halo. Fun fact.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of people, like especially a lot of Halo fans, that just wanted Infinite to be that game that made Halo not necessarily what it was, but just super relevant again. Because that's the thing. Halo's been losing relevancy the past 2 games. And that's not just because of the quality. That's also because there's just so much, as you said earlier, Colt, gaming is getting huge. There's so much being produced for it now. And it's hard to stand out when there's just so much stuff coming out. And with that in mind, that was the issue. We had a great honeymoon. That's the best phrase
that's
I've
a good
heard
way
of
to
it.
put it.
We had a great honeymoon when Infinite launched. I was seeing just tons of praises for the campaign. It was the best campaign 3-4 had made. The multiplayer people thought was fun. It finally played like a true sequel to 3. It was awesome. And what I'm telling people is when season 2 comes around, it's going to be the same thing. We're going to have a blast for the first month. And then we're going to be waiting. Yeah. We're going to be waiting. And that's a problem because that doesn't keep people around when all this stuff is coming out. So
yeah, I mean, luckily the drop off happened right before Elden Ring, which would have stomped that anyway. Fonz, bring your mind back to your Destiny days. Somebody mentioned in the chat that how's Destiny doing? When Destiny launched, Destiny 1 in 2015, I think it was. What was the multiplayer like? What was there was online co-op from the start. So
there was a lot of issues.
What was the drop off? What was the drop off? What was on offer compared to Halo Infinite that you can remember?
I think when you compare the two, look, I think the fact that Destiny had a much more variety of weaponry and stuff within the game than Halo had or even has was a big thing for people. That, and of course, just the game mechanics. There was a lot more to do in that. And I have to disagree with Kibi just a little bit on his assessment with Halo Infinite. When he says that, people, the honeymoon phase is over and people were just falling out of, whatever with Halo. I don't believe that, because the thing is when Halo added, because when you take a game and you just add some fresh mechanics, it could do a lot for a game. It could also hurt a game, but I think in the case of adding the grapple hook into Halo Infinite, it made it so much better than the older Halos. I loved the grapple hook in this game. It really did a lot for me.
The reception was like, grapple hook.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because in most games, you get a grapple hook and you're just like, whatever. It's a grapple hook. Horizon Forbidden West, horrible grapple hook implementation.
Ugh. Yeah.
But in Halo Infinite, it was incredible. It was fun to use. Being able to pick up stuff, the weapons, the little bombs, just even going into a Banshee, grappling up to a Banshee and jumping in there. Amazing stuff. It was, and it was so well done because you could grapple everywhere.
So the foundation is
so
I know people in the chat are worried
it's the lack of modes.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. I'm going to get into that. I think where people are falling out of it a bit, where Kibi is right, is the multiplayer. And the reason being is because nowadays the multiplayer landscape here is so different now. Kids and even adults are playing games like Fortnite, like a big battle royales and stuff.
Apex.
And Apex. They love these different game modes that Halo doesn't have. And I think that is a really core issue with the multiplayer. I think it's the lack of modes. I think it's the lack of maps. I think it's just things within the multiplayer that really need fixing there. And it could be fixed. They could add more and get people back to loving Halo again. It could happen overnight.
So did Destiny have a little falling off? Because I know that once 2 came out, the fans that love, like people who don't like Destiny, they don't get to talk about this because I'm one of them. I don't love Destiny, but I know that the game just kept people going and going, and to them it was incredible and it offered so much and they couldn't stop playing. But Halo doesn't have that right now, but it's one of those things that the game's just going to get better and better. And I guess at one point we're going to look back and say, man, that first year or 2 years was rough.
And,
Like,
and Cole, you know me, I've been very hard on 343. I've been very, very hard on them. But when Halo Infinite launched that campaign, I loved it. It was great. So I'm not just saying this stuff to sound like, oh, I'm being a shill or whatever. No, it has great core game mechanics. The gameplay is fun. It's still Halo, but it's got new mechanics that work. They just need to do more with that multiplayer. That multiplayer just needs, unfortunately, I hate to say it, the game should have been delayed.
Yeah.
You're not the only one who says that.
Chiefs,
would you say it should have been delayed another 6 months or a year? Oh gosh, it could have been 6 months.
I don't know about a year, but I think 6 months. Yeah.
Because they wouldn't be maintaining the live service while it was going, right? So they could have waited 6 months. Yep. Where would that put them in like May or June? Yeah,
they wouldn't have as many. They'd basically be coming out about now. You know, like next couple weeks, basically.
So
it'd be coming out when season 2 starts.
Yeah, and we're talking about season 2. We still don't have co-op.
Yeah. So Keith, if you were running the show, if you were running either the show with Xbox or you were making the choice at 343, which would be your higher priority? The 20th anniversary launch or Forge and co-op at launch? If you got to make the choice.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. It'd have to be the second. It'd have to be the Forge and co-op. I admit, what
if they showed you that? What if you're the account people showed you the numbers and said, if we launch in holiday with the 20th anniversary, with the documentary, we project this much money that we'll make. But if we launch in the summer, sales will be down this much. Because that could be real. Make the choice.
That
Do it
could
now.
be make your choice. God, because that could be a legitimate point. Yeah, there's the businessman that probably would go with what you just said, and then there's the fan that goes with the latter. You know.
Yep.
Because that's the main thing. I saw a couple people that said, like, you know, the game launching without Forge really hurt it, because that's the thing. 4 and everything before, the game really took care of itself. That was the beautiful part about Halo. It just took care of itself. They would release map packs every season or whatever. And by season, I mean like real life season. Every 3 or 4 months, they release like a good, juicy 3 map pack. But here's 6 months and we get 2. So, but even if you didn't get that, the community took care of the game. And I have to do my best to cut myself off, like, because I could ramble about this forever. Because again, Halo's one of my 2 favorites. It probably is my favorite. But one of the things that made 3 such a legendary game, no pun intended, is that the community took care of it. You had Bungie favorites, you had Forge, you had custom games, you had people chatting. Like, there was so much stuff that made people, and there was all the modes. It was all there at day one for people to go nuts with and just take care of themselves. But in Infinite, it's an early access game. I keep telling everybody that this is their first Halo game that's early access.
True, and it's free to play. And Jason Max in the chat's made some really good points, but he also has some like digging questions. Fonz, he says, Halo Infinite is a 10-year live service game. Does it really matter if it wasn't 100% at launch?
Yeah, of course it does. It matters because look at all the complaints now. We're going into season 2 and people aren't happy. A lot of people aren't happy anyway with what is being offered within season 2, and the fact that Forge isn't there, co-op isn't there. They're really upset by those things. Look, I even said it before, man. When we were talking, Colt, last year, when we were calling for those delays on Halo, lots of people were mad. And I was asking people, what happens if that co-op they promised in 3 months doesn't come out in 3 months? Because it probably won't.
You did.
And people were just like, no, it'll be there. If they're saying it'll be there, it'll be there. It's not. And that's why I have to go back to the original topic, which is you got management issues there. If they can't get out the product on time, I mean, you have to go back to that. And unfortunately, I don't want to point fingers at any one person because I'm sure there's a lot of people involved in upper management, but somebody there needs to take control. Because what's going on right now within the community, especially the Halo core fan base, Kibi, you probably are a part of this and you see it in the forums.
Well aware of it.
They're not happy.
And they're not very nice either.
No, they're not. They're not.
And I feel for them. And chat, like, I feel for you. All three of us do, because we've established we love the Halo Infinite campaign. We love the modes we played. The game is fantastic. It feels incredible. I think Halo Infinite is the best playing Halo I've played in a long dang time.
It is.
So really, to me, if co-op was there at launch and if the campaign, if that ring, I feel like we're on 1/4 of the ring. That's what they gave us at the outset. And then as they expand it, we'll get to another section of the ring. But if that ring had a snowy area up in the higher elevation, maybe if it had a jungle area at a lower elevation, that exterior, that like outside variety would have been such a big deal, because it's what it needs. Because Halo games look amazing. You go back and play Halo 4 or 5, they are incredible looking. In some ways look better than Infinite. And Infinite has
it's art style.
It's art style. It's great. But I hear you, chat. Let's see. We got Risk It for the Biscuit. Thank you so much for the Australian 8. He says Halo has great bones. I love it. He's right there with us. Needs content. If they were smart, they would have put Forge at the front and release it at launch. The community keeps mapped. Keeps it going.
Kibi was saying,
perfectly said. Risk It for the Biscuit. But I think we could damage control. We have damage control, but I could damage control right here and just say, we're going to look back and say, man, that first 2 years sucked compared to what the game is now.
That's not damage control. This is damage control. Damn it. The game is great. Shut up. Stop complaining. Play the game. It's awesome. There's nothing wrong with it. It's amazing. Shout out to Others Inc. out there.
Now, go ahead.
Okay. There's kind of two, because I see like what Fawn's just said, and there's Bobby Dazzle saying, stop complaining, it's free. It's awesome. You guys ain't having free content. So it actually begs a good question, because we all agree, and everybody that plays it agrees.
Yeah.
And the word foundation was used earlier. That's exactly what it is. The foundation has been set. And this is truly, as Colt was saying, we're going to look back at this as the building years for the game, which is very different from previous games. So that begs the question, what makes this core Halo community that, yes, I see a lot of, get so butthurt about this? And it's because they want it to be great.
Yep.
It's because it's great, I would almost say. It's because of how good the game is that they're like, this is it. It's here. But we're losing them. And I think that's the ego part of it. It really is. It's the ego part.
They also don't want to lose their community that they've watched their community drop off. Like, these are the people we play with. We don't want to sit in a lobby waiting for Crank to find people. Yeah, it's really
so
I think we're going to see some good things, but I think there'll be a part of the show dedicated for the Xbox Game Showcase for Halo and what's coming forward. And I think at the end of the year, Halo 343 will kind of come into a rhythm where they're ironing out problems with the engine. There's stuff they're not telling us that they can't tell us because it's all super technical. They're probably having problems with the engine. They're dealing with, getting everything working with the contractors, but we have really good things to look forward to at the Game Showcase. We'll be playing so many games that when the content drops for Halo, we're going to have to set aside stuff we love to get back into another game we love. This is the XNC Podcast. I've been here with Samurai KBG of his channel. It will be linked in the description when it updates here. And Fonz from Fonzarelli Gaming and Games Talk Live. Guys, this is your opportunity to brag and tell everybody where they can find you and what to expect on your channels. And we'll start with Keebs.
Well, hello, everybody. It's been great to be the first time ever on this show, one I've always wanted to be on. And I might have a show starting up myself soon. I thought it'd be a lot of fun, and I need to get these guys on it. I'm also a big otaku anime fan. If you like anime, I have a West Side Otaku channel. So that is that Kingdom Hearts half, if you will. And yeah, I just especially love for you to geek out about whatever you're passionate about. I really resonate with that. So just love what you love and share it. Instead of saying it's good, tell me, why is it good? It was bad. Why was it bad? That's my thing. So if you want that, head over to Samurai Kibuji or West Side Otaku for your gamer.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for being on the show. It's great to have this opportunity. Like I said, selfishly, it's good to be able to meet people like you and kind of make that connection. But with Fonz, I've known Fonz for 5 years. Fonz, tell people what's coming on the channel. Are you getting back to making production videos?
I don't know.
Podcast.
Well, right now it's very rough because I'm going through a move and stuff, and this will be the last thing I take down. But when I do, it's going to be sad. Closet studio under the stairs. I'm going to miss it. Harry Potter Studios, as Nano calls it, the broom cupboard. No, if you like, PlayStation and Xbox related stuff and talking about games and stuff, join my podcast every Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific time. And that is Games Talk Live. And I talk about, PlayStation, Xbox. And if you like old things, old 80s game shows or old floppy disks like this, join us. Yeah, I have a great time there. No, I don't talk about old floppy disks. You remember these, though, Colt? Remember these?
I do remember those.
Oh, man. I don't know. I'm cleaning the house and stuff, trying to get everything out, and I'm finding old stuff. I mean,
I've got in-laws have a box of those like above their computer. I'm like, what are you doing with these things?
I found gaming magazines from 2007, and I'm like, what are these doing here? It's crazy.
Yeah, shout out to Fonz and Samurai KBG for being here.
Oh, yeah, you can find. Oh, I forgot to tell them Fonzarelli Gaming, or you could type in Fonz Gaming, and you'll end up finding Fonzarelli Gaming right there. So it's easy.
Yes, and I will have your name in the description as well, so people can click that and go sub. You guys have grabbed a couple subs while you've been here because the chat's amazing.
They've been
shout
awesome.
out to you, Donnie Quezada and Lethal Papa, and my moderator, Happy Bomb, for checking out all the supers. Hopefully I got everything covered. You guys have been incredible. If you want to check out the show, or already if you have, you're here listening to it in the future on Spotify, Google, Pocket Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And that is an audio only format, or you can check that out at your leisure. But thank you so much for checking out the show, guys. We're going to get out of here and enjoy our night. Thank you so much. And I will see you soon with another video. I've got a little idea brewing in my head. I'll put that together this week, hopefully. And I've got more news to talk about then, because some cool stuff going on this weekend. I'll get to that in a little bit. But thank you so much. We're going to hit the outro and get out of here. Have a good night, guys. And as always, be nice.
There it is. Be nice. I love that.